Hey guys, Greg here, Bone Tactical. Today I'm actually going to walk you through the process of making some beef jerky at home. I've got this Nesco Dehydrator behind me. It's the 7-tray model, stainless, and I've got a chunk of beef over here. Now this beef that I'm using just happens to be USDA prime ribeye. It's not what I would recommend because of all the fat and all the marbling you can see on this piece of steak. It's just a very good piece of meat. The reason that I'm using this is because a lot of people say that the fat will turn rancid, and because you can't really dehydrate fat, and you want to get the leanest piece of meat. So me, not following the crowd, I'm wanting to see what actually happens when I use a ribeye to make beef jerky and how it'll turn out, with my line of thinking being that the best quality meat that you can get, if it's good quality beef, why wouldn't it make good quality beef jerky? So we're going to test that out. But what I would recommend for you guys just starting out is to use just like some round chuck, some lean, cheap meat. And definitely you don't need a dehydrator. You can start out doing it in the oven and see if you like it. The reason you want to do this, of course, is just the price is skyrocketing of beef jerky. And so, once you actually get sustained doing it, once you have the initial investment of the dehydrator, if you're going to buy one, or if not, I'll walk you through the process of how you can do it cheap as well. And beef jerky is just like a really great, healthy snack that will make you more efficient in your life, because you only make it once a week. You can meal prep it, or might even last 2 weeks. You can even stick, Ziploc bag with some little silica desiccant pouches if you really want to do that, to keep the humidity out of the ambient air that's stuck in the bag with it. But not having to prepare beef jerky and having it available throughout the week is just a really great way to make food. You can also do vegetables and fruits in your dehydrator if you do get a dehydrator, but let's get right into the process. So if you don't have a super sharp knife like the Bush Ranger Bowie, this is super overkill for this task. It's really, really thick. You don't, generally speaking, want a really, really thick knife. There's very, very few very thick knives that can do this task, actually. The only one that I can think of is the Bush Ranger Bowie, because of the just incredible hand ground, hollow grind angle, primary grind angle that's on there, just makes it an incredibly strong and sharp knife. If you don't have a very incredible handmade knife like this at your disposal, you can use any kind of a knife you can find that's just a really thin, really cheap knife, and just sharpen it frequently. So you've got your cut of meat, and if you don't have your cut of meat and you don't want to cut it yourself, you can ask the people at the grocery store to cut it for you. You can actually cut it on the deli cutting machine. You want to cut against the grain of the meat if possible. Least amount of fat content really is the idea, and you're going for about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, very, very thin slices of meat. So this is the idea here. Very thin. With an extremely sharp knife, it's very easy just to pass. If you don't have a very sharp knife like the Bush Ranger Bowie, you can put the meat in the freezer for 15-20 minutes. It'll make it harder and stand up a little straighter, and it'll be easier to get a cut on there. I've got some excess fat on here, so I'm going to trim that off. I am showing off a little bit with how sharp this knife is, so unfortunately you guys probably won't have a knife this sharp, but it's still doable, right? You just can't have this much fun doing it. So again, another advantage to that very, very sharp knife is that you can cut right along the membrane and actually just cut pure fat right off and not waste any of the meat. So now that I've got the big deposits of fat removed from this ribeye steak, I am going to cut the rest of it into strips. So here is my tray of thinly sliced meat. Now what I'm going to do is put some spices and seasonings on it. I could also marinate it for like 24 hours or something. I make my own Caribbean jerk sauce, and this is that in order for me to put the whole making of this sauce, it's actually much more complicated. There's many more ingredients and steps than the beef jerky. I've only got a little bit of it left right now, but if you guys want to see a future video of my Caribbean jerk recipe, I will share that with you guys. I'm just going to put a little bit of this on some of the pieces, and since you guys, you know, you're not going to be able to get this seasoning right off the bat, I'm going to share with you what you can buy at the grocery store that is my go-to for all things beef, and I am quite the connoisseur when it comes to beef. You know, obviously I'm using a very, very, very high quality. Those of you that know beef, you can tell how high quality this beef is, and that's just because, you know, I'm a beef connoisseur. I really like good quality beef, and when I have the chance to get it, you know, and I'm blessed with that ability or opportunity to get some good meat, I take full advantage of it, and I will definitely share with you here in a second what I recommend putting on pretty much any kind of meat that you're going to grill. As far as beef goes, any kind of beef that you're going to grill, that you're not going to be, you know, including it with a bunch of other sauces and stuff. So if you're not going to be putting in a bunch of other sauces and stuff on it, I'll share with you here right now what I recommend. If you are going to be putting a bunch of other sauces on it, then obviously your dry rub or your seasoning or spices that you put on there are going to have to coincide with whatever sauce that you're using. You're going to have to kind of make sure that those items go together. So this is Montreal steak seasoning, and I'm you know, you guys know I'm a good old Southern boy. This is some sort of a Canadian blend supposedly, but it's MSG, no MSG, gluten-free, and it's basically just a very basic salt, pepper, black pepper, red pepper, garlic, onion, sunflower oil, paprika, and it's just real easy, and it's very good. It's nothing wow or out there. You don't need a whole bunch of it. You put a little bit of this on there, and it's just the right amount of blend of seasoning, so you don't have to think, did I put too much salt? Did I put too much pepper? Good to go. And this is the only thing that you have to put on steaks. If you're grilling good meat, put a little bit of this and you're good to go. You don't have to worry about marinades or anything like that. So this is a little pro tip here for guys that like you know, steaks or, you know, grilling out, stuff like that. This is a lot less work. You can just do everything day of, right? So I'm gonna season both sides, and then we're gonna stick it in the dehydrator. I'll also give you a tip on how you can do this in your oven as well. So they're all ready to go, seasoned. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna stick these in the dehydrator here. Again, this is the dehydrator from Nesco. I'm gonna put these right on top of this little tray. If I'm putting them in the oven, what I wanna do is throw them in the oven at about 180 to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. You're looking at 5 or 6 hours. You probably want to check it after 4 hours, and then you want it to be tender, but you don't want it to be falling apart. If it's falling apart, you've gone too far. And write that down in your recipe book for the next time that you do it, and do it a little less time. If you do it in the oven, I'd recommend hanging it. There, you can use hooks, you can use toothpicks, you can hang it any kind of way that you want to. In the dehydrator, it's pretty convenient because you can just stick them on this tray. If you have to, you know, put them on a tray, you can put them on one of these trays, and then you can also put it on this tray on top of a baking sheet. But I highly recommend hanging them if you do it in the oven. Also, it's definitely worth remembering to always put something underneath as like a drip catcher, so you're not ruining your oven or, you know, however you end up doing it. You do want something below to catch the drips. This particular dehydrator is the Nesco 7-tray stainless steel digital dehydrator. I'm going to put them on 155 degrees. I'm going to do the same time rotation. I'm going to check them in 4 hours, and then it'll probably be 5 or 6 hours before they actually are to the point where I want to take them out and eat them. So I'm going to get these loaded up in here. Stay tuned, and we'll see how it turns out. So it's been about 4 hours. Let's give it a shot. This is what we have here. The beef jerky. Wow. That's good. I can definitely say that it was an outstanding success with the high quality meat. Not necessary, but the whole process, the seasoning, superb. Thanks for watching. Bone out.